Hello, I'm Colin Gallagher, CEO at Onward and Upward, and you're listening to the Association 100 podcast, where each week we interview association leaders from across the country to hear how they're trying new things, taking big risks, and delivering value for their members. We'll explore the realities of what it means to work in and with associations and bring you the insights and inspiration you need to advance your career and make big changes at your association. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of the A100 podcast. I'm Megan Henning, and I'm your host for today. I'm recording on the show floor during the ASAE annual conference here in Cleveland, and I'm really excited for today's conversation. My guest today is Kerri McGovern, Senior Director of Membership with the Association Corporate Counsel. Kerri is a high-energy, communicative leader who brings big ideas to life through focused strategy and collaboration. With deep expertise in membership, marketing, and technology, Kelly has a proven track record of driving meaningful operational information to enhance the customer experience and boost revenue generation. Welcome, Kerri.
Thank you so much.
So tell us about your association.
So the Association of Corporate Counsel is a global association. We have 46,000 members worldwide. And everyone's always asking lawyers, right? But corporate counsel are very specific lawyers that work within companies or organizations as opposed to at a law firm or in the federal government.
You have a membership app called the ACC 365, and it's been a standout success, even winning multiple awards. Can you share how the app has transformed member engagement and what features have been most impactful in meeting your goals?
Yeah, we are so proud of this project. It was really a labor of love. And associations don't tend to do member apps well because you really have to have a lot of time and attention. And our CEO really carved out time for our team to really focus on launching this properly so that it could be long-term successful. So I say with everything in marketing, you need to have exclusivity and urgency. And we applied those principles into the app, especially when we were trying to launch it and get people to download it at first. Because we built something and we're like, but how are people actually going to use it in their day-to-day lives? And so in those first 100 days of it being live, we got a ton of member feedback. And luckily, we work with a great partner at Clouder. We were able to be really agile in the changes we made to continuously improve that experience for the member. A couple of things that we've done is we have a news feed that pulls in an RSS feed of all of our content and some curated content that we've put in there. So there's new content every time someone opens the app in the news feed. We've also completely built in our online communities. So we worked with Higher Logic to bring over the SSO so no one even has to log in again to access their online communities. It's amazing. And that's a major engagement point for our members. And to have that ability to talk to one another in their pockets, ready to go, has really been invaluable. The most recent innovation we've done, which I'm really excited with, is we worked with our partners at Web Scribble who run our job board, and we've been able to build that in natively to the app. So we're going to be able to have full service for our members across their career cycle in the palms of their hand.
I think that's amazing. And first of all, I've never even heard of an association doing an app except for maybe
Their event app, right?
And so with so much being in the palm of your hand, I think that's amazing. So I also know that you have an innovative onboarding program, which has received tons of praise for its effectiveness. Can you talk to me about that?
Oh, yes. Membership people love to talk about new member onboarding because it's that little sector of marketing that we get to hold really tightly to ourselves. The way ACC is structured, we sell individual memberships and we sell what we call corporate memberships. This is basically one bill for a slot-based membership for an organization so they can pay one invoice. A lot of times what happens with that particular population of people is they get put on a roster, we upload them in our database, and they start getting emails from us. But they might not know who ACC is or why they're getting their emails because someone in their department decided that they should have a membership. So we had to really rethink our onboarding strategy. One, because of that, we wanted to make sure our retention rates stayed high and we're showing value immediately to these people. Also because when in an organizational membership, if someone else is signing you up for it, we don't have any information. We don't know. We can't personalize. We know nothing about you. We don't know how long you've been working or what your area of practice is. So we also use that onboarding series to do a lot of data collection. It's subtle data collection. Our onboarding series used to be what you can imagine. We're going to send you an email and we're going to list the 25 things that you can do. Thanks for being a member. Here's everything we got, right? Here's the fire hose. And we found that we got a lot more engagement on the emails themselves when we broke up the tasks into different emails. So in this first email, I want you to just log into the website and upload your picture. In the second email, have you checked out your chapter? Why don't you look at the chapter webpage? So really breaking it down into bits was helpful.
That actually is genius because when I have done this, you're right. Here's the water hose. And then I think, oh, maybe I'll come back to this, right? Because it seems overwhelming. But if you are breaking it down, you're like, oh, I can put my picture up. Oh, I could take a look at these committees. This is great.
We think about this, how associations are always navel gazing. And we're like, we do all this great stuff and we want to tell you about all the great stuff we do. But new members are not ready for that level of sophistication yet. They can't decide what's important or not important to them. So the other thing that we did, which has really been successful, is for the first 90 days of membership, we suppress new members from almost every email that we send. So they don't get sponsored e-blasts. They give them big announcements, but they're not going to get like annual meeting reminders and things like that. Because for those first 90 days, we really need them to focus on the basics of being a member.
This is genius.
Thank you.
Like, seriously, no wonder you've gotten a lot of praise. Like, that is a really genius idea. And did you all just sit down and think about, how did you even come up with this?
Well, anyone from ACC that's listening to this, I'm not like kissing butt here, but like we have a really innovative, creative team and little ideas come from everywhere. So when I started in the organization, there was the onboarding program and they were suppressing some emails. And so when I took it, we're like, okay, how can we automate more of this? How can we make this more engaging? How are we strategically making sure they get the important messages while ensuring that they're still focused on the onboarding program? So there's a lot of great work that happened before me, and there's going to be a lot of great work that continues on the program. And I say this about membership things all the time, it's never one and done. We're never like, check, we've done an onboarding program. We're still looking at those messages every day and iterating.
I think that's great. It's really impressive to have thought from the angle of a brand new person. And I hadn't thought about it until you mentioned, of course, there are times I've been signed up and no one asked, no one mentioned. It's like you started a new job and they're like, oh, I'm going to sign you up for a PR, in my case, a PR membership. And then you just randomly get an email that you think, oh, is this for me? So I think that this is genius. So switching topics a little bit, how have you leveraged AI? Because this is, the topic of the moment. I've talked about this pretty much all morning here, to personalize content throughout your newsletters. How did you decide to do that? Because there's so many people that are very much, I think, afraid of AI. You think, is this cheating? Is this really coming from me? Am I going to sound like a robot? So how did this come about?
So I think AI is cheating, but it's good cheating. This is the kind of cheating you should do. I have to give absolute props to my coworker, Anja Tigala. Shout out, Anja. Anja, she introduced our organization to Raza in their AI-powered newsletter. And we were early days, probably 5 or 6 years ago, talking to them and launched what we call Corporate Counsel Now, which goes out every Tuesday. Now, we're very selective about the populations that we send this newsletter to. So we send it to new members. We send it to prospects in Europe and Australia and some prospects in the United States. And we do this because we can tailor the content with the AI tool that's built into Raza to make sure that they are getting a highly personalized experience. So I think what's really innovative that Anja put together on the prospect side is we all get a prospect list. We're all at this ASA meeting. How many emails did you get from every vendor that's here? That's what happens. And so when you bang on your prospect list like that, where it's to sell without providing any value in return, you're not going to get a good return from those prospects. As a global association, we also had a problem with GDPR in Europe. So we can't actively ask you to join or upload your email into our system and start sending you those join messages. So we needed to solution around that while still engaging with that potential community. And part of Anja's genius is in the European version of Corporate Counsel now, we don't have a join button. We have a subscribe button. So you can subscribe to ACC. And then in the message, we might have a message about membership, where in other regions, we can be more direct about our sell proposition. We get incredible engagement on this newsletter. And what the AI does in the background, and it's reading behavior. So if Kerri's reading a lot about leadership, it's going to feed more leadership in. And I think, everyone's talking about AI and the robots are taking over. And I saw Terminator too. So, but it still needs a human touch. And we do go in there and we curate some content that we know we want to be in there. I'm not afraid of AI. I think it is here to help us. Good cheating.
Yes, I love the phrase good cheating, because we say in our office, it sometimes can get you 80%, but the other 20% is the human touch. And I love this. This is so very forward thinking. Do you think, are there some lessons that you've learned from implementing this technology?
If anyone doesn't learn lessons when they implement technology, so we learned a lot when we were implementing the membership app about benchmarking and about what's a reasonable expectation of behavior. And again, this is something when you're inside the association. We were so excited about this app. We're like, this is amazing. We've been working so hard. We're putting all these features together. And for members, they don't know all the hard work that went into it. They don't know all the hoops we jumped through and how we launch this experience for them that's supposed to be seamless. They're just interacting with another piece of technology. So we had to find ways to tell them why it was a special experience. And so what we learned, especially from the app marketing, is we almost are treating our app users, and it's about 10% of our membership now. We have about 5,000 and change users out of 46,000, which I think is really good for an 18-month-old product. Is they need to feel special because they have this. And we needed to deliver them a specialized experience that kept them coming back to it. So again, exclusivity and urgency. We've been pre-releasing a lot of content on the app. So for 48 hours, if you're an app user, you get early access to something. Or you want a discount to the annual meeting, the best one is on the app, but you have to download it in order to get the discount that is only on the app. So we learned a lot about their behavior when interacting with content. We send a lot of push notifications too, because it's not like LinkedIn where someone's just opening it up every day to see what's going on. We have to train them to do that. And we remind them that it's a resource that's there. But it's also great because it's another vertical that isn't email.
My mind is blown by all of this. This is great. So you've clearly prioritized innovation across member services. How do you foster a culture of innovation within your team? And how do you ensure that those innovations align with your members' needs?
We have a really forward-thinking CEO, Vita Richardson. It is important to her that we as an organization are on the cutting edge of these things, because not only is it the expectation of our members, but it is the way we meet the expectations of our members. So an interesting thing she did is in DC, they had a pop-up museum. It was like the Museum of Failure. So it was all these different products that failed. But the story is that because this failed, this other thing came out of it. So it was the first iPhone. And then what would whatever came before the iPhone, or all these terrible Oreo flavors, right? But the whole point of that day, for her to take her staff and bring us to this museum and say, failure isn't always failure. It's failure at the time. We don't know what it's going to become or what lessons, to your point, you're going to learn along the process. So it's our job as team leaders, I think, to take that culture and really embed it in our staff. And so I always I'm like, let's experiment. Experimenting, innovation sounds so hard, but it's not. Innovation could be, I'm not going to send new members emails for 90 days. That's innovative. And so innovation, I feel like, is daunting sometimes, especially to junior staff, because they think they have to launch some big thing. I'm like, no, it could be innovating. Is we're going to put QR codes now on our paper renewals, and maybe people will scan it and pay online instead of sending us checks. That is very innovative.
I'm super impressed. This is so many different innovations from so many different levels. And, you have your membership side, you have the internal one with that example. That is amazing. How do you measure success then and impact? I know you can do that with numbers, but it seems that you are so much more than numbers. So how are you measuring this?
I'm a very data-driven person. Our organization is a very data-driven organization. We have KPIs for everything. And we get with the membership app, we set a set of metrics that we probably should have set lower in the first year, if I'm being honest, but we met them. And you have to learn from those metrics. And so I think there is like a little bit of anyone that works in membership and has to do projections, it's a little guesswork, it's a little math, but you have to measure against something. Otherwise, you really cannot know if you're successful or not.
Right.
And we say this all the time. I work with the Gold Circle Awards Committee with ASCE, and we would get those applications in, and people would be like, we increased member engagement. I'm like, cool. Oh, that's great. Where did you start? Where did you go? And how did you get there is important.
And I'm assuming that you also take just some of the member feedback stories, things that are outside the data, but are a personal story or something like that, because obviously that's the end result of data. Is this working? Do my members like this? What do they like about it? And that type of feedback.
Especially for our membership, when we did our last member survey, we heard that ACC membership saves members 40 plus hours a year.
Wow.
And something like that makes you take a step back and say, why are we not talking about that more? We talk about all the things that we do in our products and services, but what really speaks to the member is the value they derive and the time that they are saving.
That's amazing. First of all, thank you. This was an incredible discussion, and I feel like all of our listeners are going to be maybe pinging you or certainly trying to take all of this awesome advice, which I hope they do, since this is amazing. But we wrap up every podcast with a bunch of fun questions just so our listeners can get to know you. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Rhode Island.
Oh, beautiful place.
It took me a long time to learn to pronounce R's when I moved to DC.
What is your Starbucks order?
Oh, I'm a Dunkin' girl.
Oh yeah, I should.
New England.
New England, yes. So what is your Dunkin's order?
I'm the largest coffee you can give me with cream.
If you won the lottery tomorrow, would you still work?
I would for a little bit, but then I'm really interested in buying a boat.
Yeah. Oh, that is nice. Yes. What's the last show you binge watched?
This isn't the last show, but it's like releasing very soon. So Umbrella Academy.
I have not even heard of that.
Oh, it is the best.
Okay. I love this question because usually this adds to my already very large list of things I'd like to watch. Food you can't live without.
Any carb.
Excellent. What is your bucket list travel destination?
I really want to go to Ireland.
Oh, nice. Yes. And with your name, you should be going there. Absolutely. Kerri, thank you so much for joining us today. And I think our listeners will really enjoy this.
Thank you so much. This is so fun.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
That's a wrap for today's episode. The Association 100 podcast is a production of Onward and Upward Marketing and Communications, where our mission is to make associations and nonprofits the go-to source in their industries through earned media and thought leadership. This podcast is an extension of the A100 newsletter, a bi-monthly collection of best practices, top trends, helpful ideas, and smart strategies delivered straight to your inbox. Have you undertaken a big change at your association, or do you have some words of wisdom for the trenches of association life? We want to hear from you, and so do our listeners. Drop us a note at info@onwardupward.com. That's info@onwrdupwrd.com. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, give us a 5-star review, and share with your friends and colleagues. We're available anywhere podcasts are found. Come back next week for more association inspiration and insights. Thanks for tuning in.